ask you a genuine question, Terry?
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that the way your club operates has changed? Because last year you also signed Mount for 60 million with a year left on his deal. Do you think the way that you operate needs to be a bit smarter just in terms of that alone? And
So-
like I'll give you an
Okay, go on.
example before like let's say, okay, I'm gonna say this. Let's say 20 million was what Real Madrid were willing to offer. Don't you think you could have done like you could have pulled this heist with a 30 million pound bid instead of a 60 million pound bid?
Well, it's not 60 million pounds. It's 52 million, including add-ons and bonuses. I believe the initial amount up front is around 40.
Okay,
And that's being
okay.
and that's being paid over a 5-year period. So if we do the Liverpool prop, he's only going to cost us about 8 million this year. So we it depends how people want to boil this down. So this is where I'm objective about it. You could make the comparison to the Mason Mount deal and say, well, you paid quite a lot. The difference is that none of us were convinced that Mason Mount was the guy. None of us were. And you'll remember me saying, I was like, I hope it works. But we were all like, oh God, it was more the player. If we'd have spent 60 million pounds last year on Cole Palmer, whether he had a year left on his deal or not, and say Mount did at Man United last season what Palmer just did at Chelsea, you wouldn't have asked that question right now. So yes, the scenario looks the same, but it's also about, I would say to Man United fans that are excited, I like the deal. I like how we've operated in the sense of we were prioritizing Lenny Yoro, but we were working on the De Ligt deal. With other Stokes in the irons in the fire to make sure if something goes wrong, we had some backup options. But the proof's going to be in the pudding. If this player delivers for Man United, if he's exactly what we need, if he's the profile that in the short, medium, and long term makes us a better football inside, everybody's going to forget that we spent 42 million pounds up front on a player with 1 year left on his contract. So there are always going to be similarities. I think you can be a perfectly well-run football club, and you can go, well, because we look at Chelsea right now. You two have criticized Chelsea heavily, right, for the way they're operating. But Man United are doing one thing that's relatively similar, which is they're looking to buy a number of younger players that if they're a success, great. If they don't quite hit the same heights, there's sell-on value. Now, that's part of the mantra of Chelsea. So some people go, oh, you're copying Chelsea, therefore it's going to fail, because I see that Chelsea have failed. But Arsenal have that mantra, and so do Man City. The vast majority of their signings are under 25 years of age. So I think we need to look at this more broadly rather than specific details that overlap and don't look great. So for me, I'm more confident in this deal, not because we've overpaid in the same way that you're suggesting we did for Mount. I believe more in the talent of this player and the people that are orchestrating the talent ID now versus the bankers and the marketers last year. But I concede 100% that there are some similarities. I've not said all summer that everything Ineos are doing is groundbreaking and amazing and, oh my God, we've never seen this before in football. All that talk is crazy. I'm not even going down that road. But I do see a fundamental difference in the way we're operating this summer. And you even look at the situation with Xerxes. The fact we're paying him £56,000 a year in salary. When the last time we signed one of our main new attackers and paid them that amount of money? I think that's what we're giving academy players on their first new deal. So there's loads of really positive things as well. I think with the Lenny Yoro situation, we probably paid maybe a little more than we wanted to on salary and transfers, but that's because of who was chasing him and what we had to do to turn his head. But as long as we're not doing nothing crazy, and I said it before we knew the amount, said anything over £100,000 would have worried me. And we're significantly lower than that. So yeah, I'm relaxed. I'm not overly gassed thinking everything's perfect. Equally, I'm not going to see similarities like you've mentioned to go, oh my God, nothing's changed, because I do believe our operating model has been significantly different so far this summer compared to the last few years, if that answers your question.
The only problem that I'm looking at this, listen, Man United have done something that not a lot of people did, which is the Euro's done one day. On the positive side for Man United, they signed Xerxes. He was a target, done. Next day, here we go, it's done. Lenny Yoro at the end, he's a Man United player at the current moment. He's doing his medical, whatever thing is they're done. They're leading the race for the league. So they're actually getting their targets, which is the positive thing for Man United. They aren't dwelling. They aren't going. Even that Lenny Yoro thing was not a transfer saga. They put in the bid, waited for it, and at the end they got the deal over the line. This is positive thing for Man United. The amount of players that Man United are buying, I'm still waiting for Man United. There's no negative about it, but I'm still waiting for Man United to sell the players. There's the one Bissaka that apparently he's going for 15 million pounds, which is a big loss for them. There's still Casemiro needs to go. Varane left, went to Como, if I'm not mistaken. These are the things I'm still waiting for the Manuel Ugarte. But if Man United get these 4 deals, and as Terry said, I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, the only unknown here is Ten Hag, which is I'm still consistent about this. The only unknown is Ten Hag. I don't know. Can he pull the rabbit out of the hat like he did the first season and get them to top 4? Or can he be like last season and completely flop like last season? That's a big risk, in my opinion. It's only Ten Hag here. But in terms of the signings, if the money, and I'm not a financial expert, Terry is more experienced in this and he reads more about the financial situation of Manchester United. If Manchester United spend this window 150 or 120 million pounds this window on these 4 or 5 players, are Man United in trouble? I don't know. But it looks like targeting 4 players, getting 4 players is what every club should follow, in my opinion. Every club should be like this. Liverpool want 4 players. Liverpool should go and get 4 players. This is, you want to back the manager, just do that.
Regardless
but on
of
the
target.
positive side,
I get that.
I said that many times. In the positive side, you want your target, you go get your freaking targets and you get more. Start with it.
Just to answer, when you say about selling people, though, so obviously we've had Varane and Anthony Martial and Brandon Williams have all left the club in terms of their contracts ending. But we've sold Amari Forston, we've sold Van der Beek, we've sold another young player to Benfica for £6 million. We've sold Willie, Big Willie, for 10 mil.
Yeah.
Of course, the deal was announced today for Mason Greenwood. So, that's a fair amount. I mean, in terms of first team players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have now gone out of, that's quite a significant amount considering when you actually look at every other club. So this is another thing as well. Although Man United are trying to fix themselves, trying to rebuild their reputation, trying to get better at things, what's everybody else doing? I mean, and this is the thing you have to, and the reason I say that isn't to play whataboutery. It's to look at the marketplace. Arsenal need to sell. Nothing's really happened yet. Liverpool haven't bought or sold anybody as far as I can see. City, actually, strangely enough, I didn't think would sit on their hands this long, and they have. Chelsea have done work, the same as Man United. So I think you have to also look at the market and what's going on externally for Man United when assessing it. I think that we've had bids come in for McTominay, but it's only 17 million. We want nearer the 30 million pound mark. We've had offers in for Casemiro, but they've not been anywhere near what the valuation is. And I think we're right to buy at our time. Don't accept 70 million today if you can get 30 million in 2 weeks' time, as an example. I think we're waiting on some offers for Lindelof and Maguire, because then I think if one of those two goes, then you see that the Lit deal be triggered, as an example. Ugarte is being worked on. The only reason that slowed down is because he didn't play in the final, but they do a 3rd place playoff game. He was right until the end with Uruguay, and that's a deal that the club are going to pick up pace with as soon as he's off of his holiday. So we are working on those deals, but we do need to also sell. We've seen how stringent the Premier League has been on PSR, and that's why I think all football clubs have been a lot slower this summer, coupled with the international tournaments. So I don't think we should just assess United on the exits, but ignore the market forces that are currently going on. But look, as I say, I'm never going to agree with everything any ownership does, because that would be weird. But so far this summer, I've been pretty impressed with what we've witnessed so far. But as I said in the group chat earlier on today, we assess 3 things as fans when it comes to how you'll run: what you plan to do, how you execute it, and then the yield or the fruits of that labor. And we don't know the fruits of the labor yet. We can't assess it. We can only give predictions. So far, I think the plan and execution have looked pretty good thus far. But it's about how you finish the transfer window. It isn't just about how you start. So, I'm not sitting again, it's been a 10 out of 10 window. It hasn't. I don't even know what I'd give it as. I'll probably give it a 4 out of 10 at the minute, because there's so much more we need to do. But it has been a good start. This year says nothing.
You can't sell too many players, though, Terry, because you keep talking about selling a lot of players. You need some bodies, too. You're in
I agree. I do agree. Look,
that's why I was shocked when you sold Kambuala as an example. 10 million, that ain't
but that tells
an option.
That's yes and no. But that tells me that we're going to bring in another centre back. So I look at it next year. If you've got Lenny, you've got Lissandro. Say it's the Lit that comes in. I think we sell one of Maguire or Lindelof. So let's just say we sell Lindelof. You've got Maguire, And then with Johnny Evans has done a new 5 centre backs plus an academy player getting promoted.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
And I think the same as left back. There's the element here where what's happening with Luke Shaw next year, this C. But we've got a young player called Harry Amas, who is tipped to be a star. So my view is, unless there's someone that's amazing you can get, give him a go. Give him a go first because you might, just like Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo is going to save us tens of millions of pounds from purchases. So we know we've got that young left back coming through. I would like to see him given some game time on pre-season, but where you can assess it and go, do you know what? We definitely need to buy someone. Or actually,
I agree with that.
He's a really good understudy.
The only point on the Kambwala thing is I thought you'd sell Maguire and Lindelof and keep Kambwala. That's what I thought. You'd sell
I'm going to be honest.
two.
I'm going to be honest with you about Kambwala. He had a couple of games that he came in and looked really good, but once I wasn't overly impressed with him last year. I looked at him and just saw there was too many mistakes and errors positionally. So I wasn't surprised to see him sold personally. When he's he's a youngster. When he's on the pitch, I'm going to back him. This year says nothing changed. You still have Ten Hag with the veto. You're still overpaying for players. You're linked to everyone, every player on the planet. If that's how you see it, that's how you see it. Now,
every Netherlands player, I think that's the Netherlands.
Oh, every Netherlands player.
Dutch.
Yeah, I mean, Lenny Yoro's Dutch, isn't he? I forgot about that. And Ugarte is Dutch, and Ivan Toney's Dutch. Yeah, all Dutch. So again, there's elements in here like Ten Hag with the veto. Yeah, he used the veto today to stop Lenny, didn't he? And again, it's a veto on players that, and this is the same as before he joined, that the sort of the sporting director player provide to him. So as long as we trust the sporting director to only give him an option of players that meet and pass the threshold of quality, it doesn't matter if he's got a veto or not. We spoke about this before. So what's changed is the people that are orchestrating behind him. Come on now, my friend. But thank you anyway.